But the weirdest part was, it didn't feel weird. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm talking about something really close to my heart. The things that I learned moving abroad. You'll feel stupid, and that's okay. There's really no preparing for how many small things you'll get wrong. I had no idea how much this journey would trip me up. And still, even after 2 years of living here in the UK, I'm doing a daily check on my instincts to make sure what I'm doing is actually appropriate and applicable here, and not something that we just do in the US because that's how I grew up. You will get called out on things when you don't do them correctly, and this still happens to me as well. Like the time that I was in a meeting with my boss and all of my team members, and I was presenting some information, and I kept referring to the annual spend figures as dollars instead of pounds. Throughout the meeting, I could not understand why everyone kept snickering. I've done all kinds of things like this without even realizing it. I've called a trash can when it's a bin, on the wrong side of the escalator. I definitely never understood how roundabouts worked before I moved here. At first, it's really embarrassing, and you do feel like everybody's staring at you. But the truth is, most people don't even notice it at all, and if they do, the culture is so polite, they probably won't even mention it. They may laugh, maybe comment here or there, but they will not take it to the grave. And making mistakes in general is actually the fastest way to figure things out. So give yourself permission to feel stupid because it means you're learning. The same language doesn't necessarily mean the same culture. When I moved, I thought, how different is it really? I mean, I'm kind of familiar with the culture, right? We both speak English and it'll be fine. There's nothing to worry about. Turns out I was wrong. The language is the same, sort of. But the humor, the social rules, and even everyday interactions, they're just completely different. There were times I thought I was being clear, but I wasn't, apparently. Conversely, there were times where I thought I understood exactly what someone was telling me, and then found out later that I wasn't even close. In those moments where you feel a little bit homesick and you opt for something familiar to give you a little warm and fuzzy feeling, only for it to be not at all how you remember. The big lesson here, language might connect us, but culture shapes how we use it. Learning to slow down. In the US, hustle culture is pretty prevalent, and it's almost worn like a badge of honor. You're always supposed to be doing something, achieving, moving faster, and if you have too much downtime, you're just being unproductive. But in the UK, people actually take real lunch breaks, and they leave work on time, and they go on holiday or vacation. And at first, I'm gonna be honest, it made me kind of uncomfortable. I felt a little lazy. But over time, I realized that slowing down doesn't necessarily mean you're falling behind. It actually means you're living. You're taking time to decompress, to recharge, and most of all, that the downtime is just as important as the hustle. The power of politeness. I used to think that I was polite, and then I moved to Britain. As I'm walking home from work one day, apologizing to a bush because I bumped into it. But the weirdest part was, it didn't feel weird. Here, politeness is more than just manners. It's just a whole communication style. People say they're sorry when they mean excuse me, or even I'm slightly annoyed, or I don't understand. Part of being able to communicate properly here is learning how to read between the lines and what the tones and inflections mean. This has been a whole education for me unto itself. One that I often fail at, even now. The more conversations I have, the easier I find it is to figure out what's actually going on. I realized that being polite is more about knowing how to act appropriately, and that sometimes it's what's not said that matters the most. You'll find new versions of home. When we first got here, the first month or so, I was just excited and I was running on adrenaline. It was really fantastic. Once the novelty wore off and it sunk in that this is pretty permanent and I'm most likely not going back to the US, at least anytime soon, to live, I had huge bouts of homesickness, and I missed weird things like just seeing the Target sign as I was driving along the street, actually being able to drive comfortably without feeling like I was going to run into another car, all day, all night breakfast. You just start to really realize that it's nothing like what you're used to. But slowly, new comforts started to fill in the gaps, and I learned to appreciate that what I used to have is fantastic, but all of this stuff is pretty awesome too. Things like Sunday roasts and having a chat with someone in the corner shop, or just being able to see the rolling greens and countryside that doesn't even look real, like it's out of a storybook. And to be honest, I hardly even notice the abundance of sheep around me anymore. The biggest thing is that I've realized that home isn't one single place. It's something that's actually inside of you that is a constant work in progress. And you have the opportunity to rebuild it over and over, piece by piece. Your comfort zone will explode. I'm gonna be honest, moving abroad stretched me more than anything else I've ever done in my entire life, at least to this point. It is lonely sometimes. Awkward most of the time. And you're the outsider, and no matter how long you're in that place, you're always gonna be a little bit of an outsider. But the good news is that discomfort is the price of growth. Things that scare me the most ended up teaching me the most. Looking back now, the things that used to make me nervous when I first got here are actually second nature now, and I don't even think about them. When I reflect on that, it is enormously satisfying to know that I was scared, but I came through it, and I am now a better person for the struggle and the stress. Is such a huge accomplishment for me. It turns out that the more you take on, the more confidence you build, and the braver you become without even realizing it. Making friends as an adult is hard, but it's not impossible. I knew that making friends at this point in my life wasn't going to be easy. To be honest, I've always struggled with making friends anyway because I have a problem with being vulnerable, mostly. But you really can't rely on that as an excuse when you live abroad, because you're pretty much always vulnerable in one way or another. Making friends abroad is a whole different game. In the US, it's normally you swap life stories and you know each other pretty well within a few minutes of meeting someone. But in the UK, people take a lot longer to open up. And it can be a little bit intimidating and off-putting, especially when you figure in the language and communication barriers. But when you are able to kind of get over that hump and really connect with someone, that bond runs very deep. The key I've found is showing up. You have to just be there. You have to show up. Saying yes to coffee invites, going to the pub for a pint even when you're not sure what to talk about, and just really putting yourself out there over and over. It definitely won't happen overnight, and it may feel a little bit fake at first, but overall it will work out and it's going to be worth it. Because here in Britain, it's about consistency to build a real connection. Probably the hardest lesson I had to learn moving here. You don't have to have it all figured out. I moved abroad with this whole plan in my head of how things were going to go. Thinking I was fully abreast of everything that I was in for. I knew how things were supposed to work out and how I was going to tackle each and every task. The spoiler alert, none of it really went to plan. Going through this journey, I realized how much of an emotional, psychological, and even physical toll living abroad really does take on a person. And I had to factor in all of that into my entire plan. And it was very overwhelming and very difficult. But what happened instead ended up becoming an even better outcome than I could have ever expected. Not to say that I didn't make any mistakes along the way, because I have made plenty. But overall, I know I'm a better person and I'm definitely thriving in ways that I never thought I could. Moving abroad forces you to adapt, to trust yourself, even when the path disappears. You have to believe that you will find your way regardless, appreciating the small stuff. One of the biggest surprises that I've had moving here is how much I fell in love with the tiniest little things that the UK has to offer me. Simple things like a quiet walk down a hedgerow-lined path, enjoying a roast dinner on a rainy afternoon, being able to see nature all around me without the obstruction of mini malls and billboards everywhere. The thing is, when everything feels unfamiliar, you start noticing what's really beautiful about the small, ordinary moments that you're in. You start to become a lot more present in those moments. You start to appreciate where you are in a way that you could have never done in your hometown, in your homeland. And honestly, that's the stuff that stays with you and carries you through. You're allowed to change. I thought moving abroad would change my address, maybe my accent a little bit, that I would definitely pick up some British slang, be able to soak in some culture and enjoy some good food. But overall, I would still be me. Instead, it changed me and everything in my life. Not to say that I'm not the same person, because I am, but my priorities have shifted. My sense of humor has definitely evolved. The dynamics in all of my relationships have changed, both here in the UK as well as all the relationships from the US. And even the way that I measure success feels different now. I appreciate the life that I had in the United States so much, and I have never forgotten or never will forget where I came from. But I am so excited about what lies before me here in the UK. Everything within me has changed since I've moved here 2 years ago. And you know what? I've come to realize and accept that that's not losing yourself. It's discovering new layers that you didn't even know were there. Layers that I would have never been able to enjoy or explore had I not taken this big leap of faith across the pond. That's something that I will always be proud of and always be humbled by. The truth of the matter is, a big move like this, living abroad, it just isn't easy. It's never gonna be. And anyone that's telling you that is lying. But it is one of the best things I've ever done. It taught me how to slow down. It taught me how to laugh at myself. It taught me how to enjoy the moments that I have with my child and my family, and also how to enjoy solitude. Most of all, to trust that home can be wherever I am, and comfort is mine for the making. If you're thinking about making a big move or taking a leap into something that feels a little bit uncomfortable, I want to tell you, just go for it. You have nothing to lose and an enormous opportunity for gain. You'll discover things about yourself, you'll build confidence in ways you've never realized, and you'll have these experiences with you for the rest of your life. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope this video helped you. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that stuff. Tell me in the comments if you could move anywhere in the world, where would you go? I'm really curious to find out. Stay safe, y'all, and I'll see you next time.